Welcome to Opportunities in Turnkey Real Estate Investments. My name is Chris Yates, and I'm here today with Mark Ainley, founder of GC Realty Investments, a real estate investment company in the greater Chicago area. Now, before we get started today, I am going to give you a little disclosure to make sure everyone's aware that this is not an offer to sell securities. This is an educational webinar. A lot of people have heard about turnkey real estate investments as alternative investment models, alternative to things like stocks, mutual funds, the traditional investments, and there's a lot of media picking up stories about these alternative investment types, and a lot of people have now heard about GC Realty Investments and Mark's company. So I'm privileged to be able to interview Mark today. Now, Mark, are you there with us right now?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Chris.
Perfect. Sounds great. So I'm going to just turn on a presentation here so we can kind of see. This is the history and evolution of your company, and I thought it would be great if we could start the presentation today just kind of with a little background about you or your company and how things got started for you.
Thanks, Chris. Yes, GC Realty Development is the parent company of GC Realty Investments, which was founded in 2003. And we started to do brokerage and property management throughout those early years. And in 2005, we really started doing the property management. In 2008, when the market crashed, as we all remember, the opportunities created itself to start investing in real estate, and we took full advantage of that. Leading up into really last year when we started offering turnkey investments through GC Realty Investments, which was born in 2014.
Got it. And so there's a few other companies I'm aware of in the country that have done something similar to this. So why did you enter this segment of the business? Because real estate investing has obviously been around for a long time, but why did you go into this model of turnkey investments?
I love that question, Chris, because it kind of happened on accident.
Okay.
We started buying and holding properties for ourselves in 2008, and we did a few, just under a few hundred properties. And in the last couple years, as we grew as an investor, we really started networking with more and more investors throughout the country. And as networking with these other investors, we were coming across buyers that were buying properties in Chicago or looking to buy. And I was finding myself, and my partner was as well too, we were finding ourselves hearing about problems with buyers buying from other turnkey providers, or hearing about opportunities they thought looked great and sexy on paper, but I was begging them to run away because it was in a particular neighborhood or on a particular block, or the property was full of violations from the city. So in spending so much time, one day a client, or it was a networking kind of associate, kind of said, well, Mark, do you have anything we could buy from you? And it kind of hit me right there in that conversation. I said, well, we're finishing up this property over here. Let me check with my partner, and maybe there'll be something we'll sell.
Right.
So lo and behold, we never sold to that person, but it opened up the concept of selling off some of the stuff that we were buying, and we're planning on holding for ourselves and creating this turnkey model for ourselves.
Right. And yeah, and that makes a lot of sense as an individual investor. Why reinvent the wheel if we can come, buy it finished from you? Then why risk, I guess, learning it all ourselves? That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
So, and we can see on the screen here, it's kind of showing not just what your company does, but I can see the evolution kind of the story that you just said and what you've been able to develop. The turnkey solutions that you provide are pretty extensive. It looks like it's not just sourcing the property and doing a renovation and handing it off. You actually go through the entire procedure from start to finish into management. Can you tell us more about what you actually provide, the extent of your services?
Well, yes, we're able to, through our network, I'm a lifelong Chicagoan, my partner's a lifelong Chicagoan, so we have a very extensive network here in Chicago, in Illinois. and being able to provide the resources that buyers need, such as the lawyers, the accountants, or the home inspectors, or various different lenders, depending on their scenario, if they're looking to finance properties. We can help them with that. We can help them with referring multiple people for each trade. And the biggest part is the property management. Everything that we sell off, we continue to manage under the same hat. We don't turn it over to a third-party property management company and disappear from the buyer's life. The same person that myself or my partner that a buyer investor deals with today, if they have an issue or a compliment they want to give us 5 years from now, we'll still be around because we're going to be managing that investment for them as well too.
Right. And so, I mean, it really is a complete solution. So I don't have to be a resident of Chicago then. I assume most of your properties are in the Chicago area then?
Yes, our properties that we have for the Turnkey Investments are in 3 or 4 different neighborhoods, primarily on the south side of Chicago.
Okay, and this is important because I've heard a lot about Chicago in the recent, probably year or two even, about job growth and how much the city's growing, but that there's still a relatively low cost of living. So I know a lot of people are interested from the investment perspective in Chicago for that reason. So it sounds like you could accept an investor client from anywhere and manage a portfolio in Chicago for them, regardless of where they live. Is that right?
Yes, definitely, and that is our number one client would be the out-of-state investor or out-of-country investor, as we have those as well.
Okay, yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. So for people who maybe haven't heard a lot about what's going on in Chicago, maybe we could just talk for a minute about the city and what's happening there, why it's such an incredible investment opportunity right now.
Okay, great. Much of the Midwest is still still has these very low pricing and very great opportunities, but Chicago, more specifically, is one of the better options for the entire Midwest, just being that we're the 3rd largest city in the country. We have some really big companies here out of the Fortune 1000. I believe there's 50 or 52 of them that have their home headquarters here in Chicago. We have the Midwest was a huge part of the Industrial Revolution, and as that all went away, as this country stopped producing stuff, a lot of these Midwest cities in the Rust Belt, they went downhill, whether the various other cities never had the opportunity to rebound, and Chicago did. Chicago was able to become a global city, and they're able to create tech hubs and become headquarters for world companies, not just local and nationwide companies. And they've really excelled to become a global network. Not only that, we're located in the middle of the country where we have the largest hub for transportation and for distribution for maybe products that aren't created here in this country but have to come through the Midwest to be distributed.
Okay, yeah, and I didn't know a lot of that. That's pretty exciting. I just, some of the things I've been reading lately in the media are a lot of people are moving to Chicago because that's where there's a lot of jobs or job growth happening. People are getting work there, and also the cost of living is low. So it sounds like you're providing the housing for exactly those people moving in, and you're kind of in your own growth market right now where apparently you can buy property, renovate it, and then sell it or rent it to somebody else for pretty good cash flow. And then so the model is that is the investment product that you're offering people. This is really exciting. But I want to get into, explain to me kind of your business model when obviously you're good at identifying houses in certain kinds of neighborhoods, but tell me, like, how do you do that? And then what happens next all the way to the end?
Well, we've been doing this on the South Side since 2008, and we've learned a lot of the hard lessons ourselves. And we've been able to learn which neighborhoods to stay out of, or which neighborhoods have growth potential, and which neighborhoods have higher owner-occupied tendency. And we've been able to take that and be able to format our buying strategy around all of that. We buy a lot of single family and 2 flats and 3 flats. That's the majority of what we do. And we buy everything with the intention of holding on to it ourselves. We never know what we're going to sell, so we buy properties as if there was going to be ours. We build them out and do the remodeling as if there was going to be ours. And we go in and we do the rehab, and we do it to a little higher standard. We've learned that the cheapest products don't always hold up the longest. And it might look nice and shiny when a buyer first buys it, but when they have a work order a year or two later for that faucet that if you would have spent $8 more for a higher grade, we now have learned that that's definitely the route to go. Our margin's a little smaller, but we're definitely able to offer a better product for us if we're holding it or for our clients if we're selling it. We have the, okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm excited about that because I know there's a lot of turnkey providers that are interested in the greatest profit margin, and so it looks like you just said shiny and new on the front, but then a couple years down the road, after they've sold it, there's a lot of repair and maintenance needs, and I know it's a big concern. I've heard about that. People have a fear of buying investment property for exactly that reason. So. I'm glad to hear you say that you go above and beyond for the higher quality product, but I didn't mean to stop you there, so keep going.
We look for neighborhoods that we're able to have a mix of market tenants versus Section 8 housing, Chicago Housing Authority. So we do have a mix of those. The market tenants that we attract tend to be city workers or union teachers, but then we're also able to attract a higher grade of Section 8 tenant. And we really, with the better neighborhoods that we invest in, we're able to find a better clientele to live there. With better tenants, it makes the investment a more solid investment over the time because we're able to keep better tenants with lower maintenance over the years.
Yeah, and how have you done with the Section 8 tenants? Because I know sometimes there's mixed feelings. Some people have thought, oh, if they're subsidized, then maybe they don't care about the property or they don't take care of it. But it sounds like that's not been your experience.
Well, we've had, so like I said a moment ago, that there's different grades of Section 8 tenants, just like there's different grades of market tenants. Some are horrible and some are the best you'll ever get, and that holds true with Section 8 too.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just wanted to hear that confirmed because it sounds like, Section 8 tenants could be anybody, right? They're just applying for subsidized housing, so it could be anywhere from a couple with a child or a single mother up to a large family, depending on what they qualify for?
Correct.
Okay. Great. And so, and I'm just looking through the steps here, and so, it sounds like you've really got this dialed in and you've got an amazing system here and a great quality product, so why sell it? And so why not keep it for yourself?
Our business model is about turning money in the essence of being able to either we hold it and we refinance out our initial investment, or we sell it and we get our initial investment back that way. This gives us the opportunity to do more deals and also the ability to kind of expand on the great opportunity that we have and bring in a select amount of people to kind of join in with the growth that we'll have over the next decade or two.
Right. So that makes sense. You keep the wheels turning, and I think it also is going to be obviously helping Chicago. It helps your area, right? Because you're improving properties that are a lot of the properties that you buy abandoned or foreclosed, or a lot of them just on the market and at a good price.
Most of the properties have some sort of distress to them, whether it be someone passed away and they can't find the family, or they have foreclosure or bankruptcy, took it back over, we buy it from the bank. So there's usually some sort of form of distress to them.
Okay, and I know in a moment you're going to show us some pictures kind of before and afters of some of the projects you've done, which will be interesting. So from the standpoint of an investor or a client that's going to come in and buy one of these turnkey properties from you, let's say, can you tell us a little bit about the advantages of working with your company versus if someone were going to just do it on their own, or purchase maybe a property that had been renovated and has a tenant but doesn't come with any turnkey management.
Yes, definitely. Anyone could go out there and do it themselves, and I've watched people do it even from far away, and they have a strain because they don't have the network on the ground, they don't have maybe the construction knowledge, they maybe don't hire the right management company. And with us, we have that all figured out, a lot through trial and error over the years, but we do have that figured out. We understand where to buy, how much to buy for. We understand how to repair the house, have it where it is not going to nickel and do a full enough rehab that's not going to nickel and dime an investor over the next decade with ongoing maintenance. And we have the ability to select a higher grade tenant to also make the management, the ease of management for everybody easier. And that all comes with our experience, and I keep coming back to it, but we've made those mistakes. So for people to go out and do it on their own and make those mistakes themselves, or trust in a company that might only be a marketing firm for somebody on the ground that maybe hasn't made the mistakes, it doesn't make sense.
Right. So you're really carrying the relationship all the way through to the end. You're not just selling a property. You're really committed to making sure the investment works well into the future.
You're right. I'm hoping 5, 10, 15 years down the road, it'll be GC Realty that will possibly sell it for them at retirement, and they'll have a good equity stake in it at that time as well, above and beyond what they bought for it.
Yeah, that sounds really good. It's a nice complete relationship. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you identify the properties? You've kind of already touched on that, but just give me a little bit more idea, since I'm not as familiar as you are with Chicago.
We have, like I said before, we have about 4 different areas that we have a primary focus on right now, and these areas all are in areas that have higher owner-occupied status. There's a lot more owner-occupied people that generally translates to better, well-kept-up neighborhoods, and we are buying properties that are not. One of the things that we've learned over the years, I used to brag and think I only paid X amount of dollars for this huge 3,000 square foot house, and then the first turnover comes and I want to cry because it costs $3,000 just to paint it. So we've learned that to kind of get that happy medium of a single family home that's not too small but it's not too big, and it's just the right size for a family that it's a good fit, and then it's inexpensive for us to maintain over the years as well.
Right.
And we like to use products that will also last as well too. We try to keep the hardwood floors, and we try to stay away from carpet, and we try to use tile that we know will hold up. We like to use roofing material that's going to last the longest. So we definitely try to size that all up in the beginning for long term.
Right. Well, and it's an interesting time right now because it sounds like the choices that are better for a long-term investment, durable finishes, are also the things that happen to be in style and in demand right now for your tenants and buyers anyway.
Yeah, no, it definitely works out that way.
That's great. So let's take a quick look, if you don't mind, at some before and after pictures of some of these properties, so we can get an idea of kind of what it looks like when you buy it, and then what it looks like after you've done some work to it.
This is one of for me, the more rewarding parts of the business and the operation overall, and it's an exciting part. It's always fun to look at these before and after pictures and seeing what you're able to do, and when the neighbors come out and thank you for cleaning this property up. It's been an eyesore. When the community leaders give you various awards for changing a block's image, it's pretty cool, and we're able to go in and you see some of these before and some of these after and see what they look like. And a lot of these after pictures are, we try to, so we're dealing with a lot of 65 to 120-year-old homes, and there's some pretty cool history in these houses. So we do try to maintain some of that architecture, or you'll see on the one fireplace, that stone, that's all original woodwork from man, I think 1890. So it's pretty cool in that sense. But then we go in there, we throw the granite, and we got the kind of in-style cabinets that we kind of use across the board, and we throw some recessed cans in there, and we make the place very desirable for the modern renter today.
Yeah, and that's really neat that you can keep some of that classic character that was there and kind of build around it and preserve it. So, you've got that classic. Um, I really love the stone, just the fireplace still being there, but then seeing the beautiful new modern finish around it is really neat.
Well, Chris, that's one of the things that sets Chicago apart. You have a lot of Midwest cities that, or anywhere in this country, that you might have some brick, or you might have some very little stone is used very rarely outside of Chicago, but we have solid buildings. You couldn't build these buildings anymore nowadays just based on how they were built, and the architecture here is amazing.
Yeah, and I can tell just from the photos. Here's some more, but I can, you know. It's really interesting because a lot of us are used to seeing these cookie cutter subdivisions that are just, just sticks and drywall everywhere. And
I live in one of those, so I understand. I appreciate it even more because of that.
right. Well, but doesn't it? It just feels more solid, not to be in a brick, an old brick structure that's, there it is, and you can see that it's solid and it's been there for 100 or 200 years, and it feels more valuable and more stable.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
So, and I'm looking here at more before and after pictures, and just looking at it looks like this top left, you bought a house that was already gutted, and then turned it into this beautiful open floor plan, very modern, and then you got down here a garage that was falling over.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, and you put it back together. So this is you really are going around the city and taking the derelict or just mistreated, not maintained properties and bringing them back to life and putting families in there.
And you go back to the question of why we sell. We're able to do this and put our footprint across the city in a much larger range if we're able to sell these quality properties off to like-minded investors, and we're able to manage them and control long term. We're able to make such a bigger influence on the city in doing what we do, I think we do really good.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, there seems to be a greater mission and purpose for you because, obviously you can't buy and hold all the properties that need that work. But if you've got clients as a kind of a team of investors coming in to say, hey, I'll take the handoff from you so you can go do more of this, then I would think that your clients would have sort of a sense of camaraderie with your company and with your other clients that they're doing something good for a community to help bring it back up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now you've talked a lot already about in-house property management services, which is pretty great because I know, having personally experienced a couple of property management relationships myself, there isn't, I guess, a vested feeling sometimes when I just hire a property manager. They'll fix it, they'll bill me for it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like there's that deep of a commitment to the quality of the tenant or to how well the property is being treated. In your case, because it's in-house property management, it seems like you would be a lot more vested in making sure that the tenant was not just high quality, but performing well, taking care of the property well, and really keeping an eye on it for the whole time that there's a relationship in place.
Well, in 2008, our initial thought when we first bought our first few properties was, we'll hire a management company down there that will handle it for us. Now, we have a management operation in the suburbs. We manage right around 600 units and a couple million square feet of commercial space. So we thought we'll just hire that out down there. But we quickly found the inability to find any management company that cares about it the way we do and has the insight or maybe even the experience that we do. So we quickly built a management company around our Chicago operation. We opened a small office down there just to have a spot that they could go to, and we quickly realized that we are far better off handling the management piece ourselves. Now, the management for our clients when we sell it off, the great thing is, we're still, there's no one that knows that property better than us at that point. We bought it for a reason. We built it out a certain way for a reason. We put the tenant in there that we thought was best fit for a reason. And the ongoing management, no one knows that block, or no one cares about that block the way we do in that sense. And there's more likely a good chance that we own other properties on that very block too as well. So there's that vested interest, like you mentioned, for us in it.
Right, and I mean that's comforting for me, because if I wanted to go, say, buy a house in my self-directed IRA account or something, I would be, I guess, pretty hesitant unless I knew that I really had someone on the ground who could keep an eye on it. But in this case, I would never even have as much knowledge as you, even if I were the owner, of what was going on with that property, its backstory, and its potential future. So I guess I would ask this question: do you, if let's say that I wanted to become one of your clients and I purchase a property from you, you're managing it. Would you say that you would often suggest to a client, maybe I'm making cash flow into my investment account and I'm really happy with that, but do you ever find that, like, you're watching the market and it maybe hits a particular peak or a high point, and do you advise your clients, hey, maybe this would be a good time to sell, or that tenant that's living there would really like to buy it from you? Have you ever had that experience where maybe you help me exit one property so that I can then realize a greater profit and buy another one?
We haven't yet in the city operation. Of course, our suburb operation, that has happened many times over, but we definitely recognize that any opportunity for an investor or client that we're working with or we manage for, we're going to put that out to them, because a great opportunity for them is what he pays us to do, is to look out for great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about that real quick. I would love, if you wouldn't mind, to look at a couple of the properties that you've renovated and either you're managing, or I don't know if you've already sold them, but just to look at the numbers real quick as examples to see what the breakdown looks like for an actual investment property.
Okay, great.
So here's one.
9018
Colfax. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
9018 Colfax here. That going back in real fast and talking about size of a house. This is a very common style house in Chicago. They call it Georgian. Is the style or the model would be, and it's only about 900 square feet between the first and second floor. So some of them have finished basements, some of them don't. But this is the size home that Chicagoans are perfectly happy living in. This has got 2 bedrooms upstairs, and this one actually has 2 bedrooms in the basement. But it's a perfectly great size house. Someone's more than happy to have a family here and pay $1,300, and they'll be there for many years to come. And if it turns over, the work that we'll have to do, the turnover work, there's always something. Even if the perfect time, you're still going to do something, but it's just a smaller footprint for us to have to spend money on. And that's a style home that we like here.
So this is 2 bedrooms upstairs, and then you said 2 more in the basement?
Yeah, this one does. Yes, this one has 2. But I believe we only mark it as a 2-bedroom, but it has 2 extra rooms in the basement.
Okay, and then about how many finished square feet is it above grade?
It's right around 800, 900 square feet total.
Okay.
Very small.
Very small footprint. You're right. Yeah. Okay.
But it's common.
Right. So, and that's just good to know. Like that's normal. And so you would feel like if a tenant leaves this particular kind of a home, this is in high demand in Chicago right now.
Yeah, definitely. I had an investor a few weeks ago. I'm not sure if it's this property, but it was a similar style where he didn't like it because it was only a 2-bedroom. He was from California. And it took me a couple of days before I realized it. I said, I particularly love the style for multiple different reasons, as I've explained some of them. But I went back to him a couple of days ago. I said, listen, this is the type of property you want. And I gave him all my reasons. And this is what Chicagoans, this is what they're used to. So they're not worried about having a 3 or 4 bedroom with a larger footprint or wide open floor plan. This is the housing stock we have here. And shortly later, he put that property under contract. So it just took a little explaining of what the local market was, and he quickly got on board.
Yeah. So, and I'm looking at these numbers, which seem kind of amazing. Let's explain this to make sure that everyone watching this presentation really understands. But the price you've got listed is 110,000. Now, is that the price that you would buy it for unrenovated, or is that the price out the door after it's completely finished with the tenant in there?
That would be the price that one of our clients would buy it from us for.
And it gets $1,300 a month in rent.
Correct.
That's amazing. There's not a lot of places in the country where the numbers are that good. I know my experience is to get $1,300 in rent, often the price of that house is twice that price.
Exactly, and this is a solid brick home with a nice garage in the back, and it's just a solid home.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you've got your expenses, then your net operating income, and then your cap rate. So the cap rate is really, I could compare that to the standard return I'd get on an investment, right? So if my bank is paying me, say, 1% on my deposit account, are you saying that I would be getting a 9.2% rate of return per year on this turnkey property then?
That's exactly correct. The cap rate is basically the net income of the property for the year divided by the purchase price.
Wow. Okay, and that's true regardless of if I come in, let's say I can pay cash, or maybe I have funds in my retirement account I could buy this with, but I could even get an investment property loan and buy it, right? And then I'm still producing a net cash flow on top of it at these numbers.
Yes, definitely.
Wow. Okay. Let's look at another one real quick, because those are some pretty great numbers, but just to see, it feels to me like that's not just a one-time thing. You do this. These are the kind of numbers that are typical coming out of your company for your investors.
Yes, definitely. This property, this next one here on Drexel, is actually one that we did sell. This is they call it a 3-flat here. You have 2 units upstairs, and you have a garden apartment, if you can see the door there at the bottom. But this is one that we did sell for $245,000 in East Woodlawn, and this is the type of numbers that it's actually putting out.
That's amazing. So over a 10% return, you're getting $3,400 in rent. Now, is that from 2 units then in the same building?
That's from 3. So you have 2 upstairs, and you have a basement tenant. So you got 3 units here total.
Okay, and it's usually occupied all the time.
Yeah, definitely. That's the name of the game.
Yeah. That's great. It's just interesting to hear, what happens in different cities. And I'm looking at, this is a beautiful building, but I would think that would cost a lot more than $245,000 for 3 units that looks that nice.
It's beautiful, beautiful stone.
Yeah. Well, so we'll keep moving forward here, because obviously, I mean, the value's there, these numbers make sense. I'm excited. That's an incredible rate of return, which I don't really know where else a person can get that, especially given, like I look at the stock market, and even when it's doing well, it has a good return, but it's not secured by anything, right? It's like it could be half that tomorrow. I don't have an insurance policy on that, but in this case, we're talking about I'm buying at this price from you. It's got this much cash flow, and even if it burns down, it's lightning hits it. There's an insurance policy that's going to cover it, and I still get my money back out of it.
Correct. For any of these properties, almost every property we sell has some equity in it already. But whether these prices, this particular property, say it's worth 200, or if it goes up to 350. That rent is still going to be coming in, and it'll still be providing that return based on the initial investment. And generally, rents go up. Everything kind of goes up in life if we haven't realized that yet. So rents will go up.
Yeah. Okay. Come up is that also if I want to, I'm going to go buy a turnkey investment property from you, and obviously I'm going to have some costs associated with that, even if I'm paying cash. There's going to be closing costs, and I was going to ask what those are, but it looks like it's already being kind of addressed. You're also partnering in a way on the closing costs as well then?
Most of our buyers and our clients are investing for a return or investing for cash flow, and we try to offer this benefit for the sake of just allowing the investor or the buyer to bring less cash to closing, and maybe they'll put that money towards their next purchase with us.
Right. So, and I guess this brings a question forth in my mind here is that, how much can you're putting so much on the table for your clients, right? You're helping them with their closing costs, you're giving them a year guarantee on maintenance and guaranteeing the rent for a year. You're giving them a fully renovated house that's tenant occupied, that's probably below market value. It's got some equity left in it. You're putting so much on the table. How many clients can you handle at once? Because I would think that this is a very limited opportunity, or is this something that you can just do a lot of and anybody can come invest with you? How does that work?
Well, we are a smaller turnkey operation. We're not looking to do 500 units next year. We're not looking to expand into different markets.
So, Mark, if I wanted to get started with your company, I guess what is the process? Because obviously you can't work with a ton of investors at once. Um, what happens? What's the process? So I'm interested. This looks great to me. What do I do next? I see that you've got up here, you have some kind of an application form. Obviously, we talked before this, the presentation isn't an offer to sell securities. I realize that you can only work with a limited number of clients. So tell me, what is the process? Do I first have to go to this web page that you've got on the screen, and then what happens next?
Well, you're right. There's only a limited amount of opportunities for buyers. We're not a huge company. We're not a company that's going to have now or going to have 1,000 clients. So our goal is not to sell 500 properties next year. We're not looking to expand into other markets. We're looking to stay in a handful of neighborhoods and work with 20 or 30 different investors buying multiple properties working together with us. So in the beginning, we send our clients to apply through our website, and we have those early on discussions to make sure we're a good fit for each other. Not everybody is a good fit for us, and we may not be a good fit for some people as well too. So we really look closely in who we want to, like we used that word partner earlier, we really look closely at who we want to work with and offer these opportunities to.
So, and then besides just that, so that's the first step, but I see that you actually put out, it looks like an ebook, more about turnkey property investing, and does that go into a lot more depth about, is it your industry, your company, how I can get started? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. Anyone listening to this, I encourage to go to our website, gcrealtyinvestments.com, and download our ebook that goes over what we're talking about today, the market, and in depth a lot more of turnkey investing and hands-off investing.
Okay, that's great. That looks like a great resource. So, so I can apply and then talk to you more about it. But in the meantime, I can also be looking through your report and learn more about these kind of investments and get really comfortable with it. So that's fantastic. So now, if I wanted to contact you for more information or just have a conversation, what's the best way to reach you?
People can reach me at our office or on my cell phone. I put my cell phone right out there, and then my email is mark@gcrealtyinvestments.com. We usually start off with a conversation either via cell phone or via Skype to kind of get things going after they apply.
Okay. Great. Well, I really appreciate your time today, Mark, and this has been really valuable for me, and I've sure learned a lot. I know there's a lot of investment opportunities out there, and I was really, called to talk to you about it because your company is obviously unique, very unique, not just in real estate, but in the investment world in general. And you've got a really unique model and company. And I definitely hope that plenty of people take advantage of the opportunity to talk to you, learn from your ebook. I'm going to download it right now.